Good morning. I don't know when you're going to watch this, but for me, it's in the morning. I'm getting ready for work, and I wanted to do a video with you guys about childhood trauma. Childhood trauma and how it just comes up, what it is, how we deal with it, and how do you even tell that you're just having childhood trauma. It's not going to be a very long conversation, maybe 10 minutes or 15 minutes. We're just gonna talk about childhood trauma. So I saw this post from a friend and I felt like I actually needed to talk about this. So I'm going to introduce you to something very new in my channel, that it's Let's Talk Mental, where we have 1 to 3 conversations about mental health or what we feel, how we feel, when we feel what we feel, it's all about mental talks, and I know you guys are going to enjoy and also learn something from it. So first things first, if you've not subscribed, please subscribe, and please like, comment and share this video. So we'll get there mara moja. Hope you guys have been fine. By the way, I haven't even asked that. Hope you guys are good, taking good care of yourselves. The weather is so cold outside. For like 2-3 days it's been like raining and so cold. And you can check out my earrings from our store at bjg.creation on Instagram, and you can follow me on Instagram at mbenya_rose. So childhood trauma, I'll just be reading for you guys. Childhood trauma are events experienced by children that interfere with their lives. So I want to make it very clear now that if childhood trauma is to start on a child, it starts from conception. It starts from that point where the child has already been formed, because there's always a connection between the mother and the child. So if the mother is going through under stressful events or stressful occasions, trust me, the child is also feeling the same way. If the child has been rejected, or let's say maybe the girl got pregnant or the lady is pregnant and the husband or the wife is not ready to accept the child, this child feels, the child has more senses than anyone. Like at that moment they read fast. They're not reading, but they understand what's happening outside because of the connection of the mother. So if trauma is to start on a child, it starts at that time. So it's not necessarily that it has to start at that moment. So it only starts there. Then when the mother, so childhood trauma will only start at conception or maybe during pregnancy, if the child is rejected by parents, or maybe the external features like interfere with the child. Probably the mother is being beaten by the husband. Probably the mother is having stressful events, and that's when the child experiences such kind of feeling that there's some harshness outside here, and probably they don't even look up to being born. Okay, it's not exactly that, but the child will know that there is things that are going on outside that are negative, so they'll grow up or develop being able to adapt to the environment that is outside there. So the adaptation may be negative or positive. So that's one experience. Another thing is types of maybe childhood trauma. We've said that's the first one. The second one is abuse, or let's say the child is being treated harshly by either the parents or so I'm back, sorry for that. I was in the part where I'm saying that probably the child is going through abuse either by the parents or maybe the foster parents, or it all just depends on different abuse. And also we have the sexual abuse, where the children maybe have been raped early on their early childhood, probably when they were 6, they were 10, 12 and all that. So this child grows up with these feelings because they were not even able to tell someone or maybe talk about what they were feeling by that time, Also another thing is children growing with separated parents. Not only separated parents, but parents who maybe don't give so much concern on the children, and also the separation of the parents. This child not able to have the feeling of children being brought up with both parents, So it's not their own mistake, but they go to school, they find other kids and who talk about their dads taking them out together with their mom and all that. But this child has not experienced this. So this child is having some stressful thoughts. Why are my parents not together? Or is it that I'm not loved? Did people not accept me? Does my mom feel ashamed of being with my dad and with me? Does my dad feel the same way? Or so this child grows up feeling like, what's up? Like, what's happening? One thing you have to one thing you have to notice, you have to know about traumatic events. They happen on different kids differently. So that's one thing you have to know. When it comes to mental things or mental health, you have to understand that every child will respond differently to an event. The children who are like, it's okay, that's their own shit, sorry, that's their own problem, that's their own thoughts, that's the way they live. But the children who will respond differently, but the kids who will be like worried, and they'll have anger issues, they'll have stressful moments when their mom tells them this, they're like, and that's why you're not even together with dad. So that's a child trying to respond to their current challenge when they don't have their parents together. There are kids who are like, don't respect their dads because they're not grown up with their dad. They're like, you dad, you left us, man. You've made us suffer, you've made us go through difficult moments, so you're the reason you're the reason why we are suffering at the moment. So it just happens. So every kid will respond differently to every situation that they are going through. So we've talked about rape, abuse. We also have accidents. If this child has gone through an accident that most probably traumatized them, they're likely to have the childhood trauma, because they'll be like afraid of cars, afraid of traveling, afraid of trying to move from one place to another, because they remember that moment. And probably if they hear a bang, like boom, they're like, they're worried. They're like, maybe it's the same event that happened 10 years ago that is happening again, or maybe they've experienced death of one of their parents or closest friends, or maybe family members, because children are more attached to family more than friends compared to us. When we grow up, we find that we were more attached to friends because we easily talk to our friends on a daily basis compared to our extended family. But if a child has lost her mom when she's 6, that's a big blow to that child, trust me. If that child has lost a parent or the pups when they are around 15 years, it's really big thing for that child. So death is really it's a traumatic event to children in most cases, because they'll grow up having a minus in their lives due to that event. So when things happen that bring them closer to those thoughts, they'll be like, is it recurring, or is the same event happening again? So those are the different types of traumatic events. We also have natural disasters, like let's say hurricane, we have maybe floods and all that. So children go through such kind of moments. Example is, let's say we have floods in Budalangi. So let's say we have floods in Budalangi, and this kid sees how the floods are taking the flood is like carrying their food, carrying their plants, carrying their homes, carrying their houses. And this child can go through a very difficult moment when they grow up. They'll be afraid of rains, they'll be afraid of water, they'll be like, they just don't, because they remember such kind of an event happening. And every time it rains, probably they'll be like, wow, is it the same thing that is happening again, like that happened so many years ago? So such kind of events for children is kind of traumatic. So now we are going to talk about how to deal with such kind of events and how to help our children grow up with, no matter the situation is. Currently I don't have a child but I've learned to check on kids to see how the kids is behaving and actually tell, okay, there's a minus somewhere or there's an addition somewhere, and it's us to help these people. So if you know of a kid, maybe, yeah, I think that will come on the last part. So we'll talk about how to deal with it. You just have to encourage the child and know that there are better times than just the loss of their parents. There's a bigger picture that is them apart from the family. One thing is, don't ever, if someone loses somebody, or let's say example, if a mom loses a kid, don't ever tell them they can make another baby. That is death to them. Like, that's actually killing their feeling. Don't ever do that. It doesn't give them hope. It doesn't give them any reason to look after the next day, to look forward to the next day. Sorry. So when someone loses a family, the only thing you do is just console them. Don't come up with so many solutions, of which you can do much to that. If let's say a friend tells you that they've lost their dad and they're going through a difficult moment, what solution can you give? Nothing. So the only thing is to mourn with them, to actually make them feel like even if the dad is not there, you guys are there together. You just love, affection, and all that. Another thing is, kids can go through therapy, especially in events of death. Events of death, we can talk about accidents, mostly rape, because children don't talk about the moments when they were raped to everyone. They're afraid. They feel like, especially when they grow up, let's say someone is around 20 and they remember about that moment when they were 12, and they're like, probably I would have defended myself, would have done something better. So therapy is really nice. It's really good, because they're actually gonna talk about it and it's gonna leave them, and the therapist or the psychologist who's going to be with them is actually going to help them how to manage the events, on what kind of routine they should partake, so that to just maintain leaving that event to go. Some ladies don't get married because they hate men, because they grew up with a dad who used to beat their mom and them, you see. So that's a traumatic event. Let's say a girl is raped, they don't want to look forward to marriage because they're like, what is this guy gonna do that is different? Some kids don't want to go for traveling just because they went through a very difficult moment, maybe through an accident. Some kids don't want even to get friends because they've lost a friend before. Like, this childhood trauma journeys with you every single way till you're all grown up. Like, sometimes you're 40 but you've not even dealt with your childhood trauma. Like, people who are 40, they're not married just because of something that happened when they were 18 or maybe 8. The people who are around even 60, they've not even dealt with their childhood trauma when they were around maybe 8. So therapy is a very good form of healing, because you talk, you have those cool moments, you just speak to yourself, and you're willing to let everything go no matter the situation, and embrace the current events. We also have reassuring the child of security, that is if they are young. Get example is, if you and your husband have separated, or say you and your wife are separated, and you remain with the child, whoever remains with the child, assure the child security and protection. That happens, and is like, the child feels like, even if I do not have my dad who passed on, I have my mom here, and my mom has assured me of paying my fees, ensuring that I go to good schools, ensuring that I have good medical and all that. As in, just reassure the child that despite everything, girl, or despite everything, baby, I'm gonna take care of you. If you get to a situation where you get pregnant and the father is not willing to take care of the child, assure that child that you're going to take care of him or her. You know why? This kid will grow up with that affirmation that even if things get so difficult to a point that I have to remember my dad or feel bad because my dad is not here, my mom is there for me, you know. Or even if I feel bad because my mom passed on, I have my dad who is going to take care of me. And that is a very good way of dealing with childhood trauma, so that this child doesn't have to grow up with such kind of a feeling. Another thing that is associated with childhood trauma is PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. In most cases, if you go through childhood trauma, chances are high you're going to have post-traumatic stress disorder. That means that it is after the event has occurred, you're likely to have the post-traumatic stress disorder, where you like have anxiety, have stressful moments because of the event that happened earlier. And it doesn't mean you're weak about that. It's just that you have to learn how to deal with it. You don't have to let depression overtake you. Learn how to talk about your problems. Share your problems with your friends. Be willing to just let things go. Allow nature to take control of life. You don't have to feel like I have to do everything by myself, you know. So just because you've been the firstborn and you're the person who is taking care of everyone in their family because your parents passed on, and you feel like you're traumatized because the child in you cannot take care of the rest. But don't be like willing to let yourself do everything by yourself. Be willing to share with others what you're going through, and it's gonna help. We are told that between every 3% and 15% of girls go through post-traumatic stress disorder. I have a very heavy tongue, and 1% to 6% of boys go through the PTSD. Sometimes I get not to understand this, because either a girl or a boy, we all go through stress, you know. Either a man or a woman, we all go through stress. So this gives us a clear thought of how many children go through stress every single day, or maybe per year. So yeah. And sometimes childhood trauma is associated with attachment. In most cases, people who go through these traumatic events, are likely to have very less attachment, because they feel like, since I was raped, I don't feel like I have anything to do with ladies. That's maybe a guy. Or maybe if I was raped by a man, I don't feel like they have anything else to do with men. You see, they don't want to talk about the issues, they don't want to talk about their problems. They feel like getting too much attached is like, you're going to know me more, and which is actually my weakness. You get. So attachment and trauma is associated. So the more you're going to deal with your trauma, the likely you're going to have more attachment to people, and it's gonna help. So children who go through traumatic events are likely to have anger issues and aggression. I want to give you a very good example. Children who've grown up with their mom alone, wengine, most of them, okay, not wote, but most of them, you find them ni vichwa ngumu, because they feel like mom can't do anything. I wish my dad was here. Uko shule watu wanalipiwa fina, wanalipiwa trip na baba zao, and my dad never comes for meetings. This child becomes aggressive, and he feels like, what is wrong with men outside here? Why can't they just do what they're supposed to do? You know, no. Let me tell you one thing: children will not tell you the way I'm telling you, but they feel that every single time inside them. Their minds will be like, why am I not seeing a male figure in my house? And they're like, why? But they not talk about it. So when they're growing up, that's when you realize, wow, this kid is having some issues, you know. We also they can go through anxiety, and if the event was so traumatic, like maybe let's say rape, children can fall into depression. We also have some kids isolate themselves. They don't talk about themselves at all. They don't talk about what they're feeling, and so some kids don't talk about. They want to isolate themselves, like they want to live alone. They don't want to talk about what they're going through, because they feel like you guys are going to judge them. So sometimes it's always good to know everyone. Sorry, it's always good to look at someone, or not even look at them. Just live with people the way they are. Some people going through traumatic events, but they're the most joyful people around. There is the moment they are happy, they feel like that event has just passed on, you know. Yeah, so it happens. But what I just want to say is, if you're a grown up and you feel like you've not gone through your childhood trauma, it's always good to see a therapist, and it's always good to talk about your problems. It's always good to know that you cannot control everything, and you're not capable of letting everything like go on good or bad in one way or the other. So I think I'm gonna finish the conversation at that point. Hope you guys have learned, have enjoyed, and also we're going to have more of this every now and then. I'm just introducing you to the inconsistent roles, but I'm gonna try, honestly. It's just that I have to do a lot. I have work, I have school, I have this, I have that, but it's just our it's food on our plate, so we have to chew it. So guys, if you've gotten to this point and you've not subscribed, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, comment, like, share, give me feedback, especially on this video. Tell me what you think about Let's Talk Mental series. And yeah, it's over, guys. So deal with your childhood trauma every single time, so that you cannot have to journey with it till 90. You don't have to journey with it till marriage. You don't have to journey with it till death, and you've not even dealt with it. So deal with your childhood trauma for easy living, for easy. It's just a good way of letting everything go and know that you're not in control. I love you guys. Bye bye.